So the sacredness, was, I mean, because of the camera. Actually, this is one of the interesting things about camera technology. It actually allows a lot of impossibilities to become possible,
No,
and
that was not the camera.
yeah,
That was
no,
designed. The camera is a tool. The camera is
yeah,
just a box.
yeah,
Now the camera has become nothing more. In fact, I work with all the camera Michels, Panavision, RE 35, and all of them. But it is still a box. Now it's only a blackboard that captures data. That's all. That's what the camera does. On its own, you can, of course, during that break I told you,
yeah.
this cameraman that was doing behind the scene, when we were going to Igbale, he followed the camera. Didn't you cannot come in here, you know.
Hmm.
So it is the presentation that we capture. No, we don't show the process of the Igbale. No, no, no. We don't do that.
Otherwise, there will be a lot of stuff
No,
that's
we
supposed
can
to be sacred.
maintain a respect towards our culture. I'm very sensitive to those things, that you don't betray any of those things. It's not secret. Everybody knows. The Yorubas too know.
Yeah.
In fact, my experience in the family compound is when an ego comes out,
Huh.
the women come out and then ọkọ mi olówó orí mi jáde o kìíní kan kneels down, and the woman probably knows it is my son in the shroud, in the garment. But at that point, he has crossed into a representation of our ancestors.
Ancestors.
So he has to be respected.
Hmm.
Although when after I stayed, when my daughter, my sister that followed me was 5, my father did the same thing. Just came, and for the first time my sister joined me. All along it was only me. 3 years later, my sister came around, and we came from Lagos. My grandmother was overprotective and so on. Occasionally during the Egun festival, if an Egungun chases us and enters our house and meets my grandmother, he will be sorry. Because my mother is not going to accord any respect to anybody. My mother will say, "You want to kill my children?" And then turns and say, are you stupid? You know he's a human being. Maybe you know. And my grandfather will say, "Jenny, don't talk like this, please. You have told you not to talk. And look at what is done." And Egun just turns back and skulks away.
Hmm.
So it is an experience
An
that
experience.
I'm happy, and I thank my father in heaven, who made it possible for me to encounter our culture at that point in time.
So this culture, I mean, this Egungun, I mean, most of this Yoruba culture in
Yes, Obatala.
Obatala.
Yes.
So why? I mean, again, the impression is that they they encourage violence against women. I mean, there's some of the tradition that are actually not in the interest of women. And the interesting thing, which is kind of ironic, is that women actually participate in this stuff that basically limits them.
Well,
So,
it would appear, but internally there is some control. Sometimes if an Egungun, you know, loses it, and then causes injuries and things like that, sometimes there are sanctions because they control. There's a body who controls. In fact, now in modern times in Ogun State here, they now have an association of Egungun. They have a calendar. They have strict hierarchy. They have supervisors, zonal, that they adjudicate. You know, there's a serious, and these are recognized even in government, that this much more well organized than before. Well, you must recognize the different types of egungun. There are egungun that are essentially young people. They need the energy. They have to dissipate the energy. And during the egungun festival, they can do all this physical, show their strength and demonstrate they have powers and do all those things. In fact, during our egungun festival, when my grandfather was still alive,
Mm.
occasionally somebody tall enters, and I can see my father warning the person against tomorrow. And so I came to understand it because the egungun in our area that was violent and all of that, with outing usually coincides with the performance egungun
Mm.
and agba egungun. But on the return, he must brand to disrupt everything.
Mm.
That's how the warning that my grandfather gave. But it's part of the festival in any case.
Mm.
And young people, you know, they have maybe another part of the time they have other gangs, and it becomes a matter of gang versus gang. You know, like I try to follow one of our own, Egun Abekta here, the Egungun Erigitola. You know, the Egungun is called engine, but they call it engine. In fact, it's so violent in some cases that it's not allowed in any Igbale around. It has to go into top of the rock somewhere where the room comes out. And I tried to do a documentary on him. And I remember clearly when I told him, and he said he didn't think it was going to be possible.
Mm.
And I said, look, I would spend a week with you, you know me. And he said, no, he told me it's not a matter of that, because he himself cannot predict how that day will end. That no, it could be police station, it could be death, it could be anything. So he cannot guarantee it.
Let's look at again the question of the movies. You're not, there's this persistent attempt to say, I mean, to differentiate between what you do and the broad Nollywood stuff. I know it's you know
I had a need,
yeah,
because I needed the medium and the technology, as
yeah,
I told you,
yeah,
for to share my cultural experience.
cultural, yeah,
And so the films are actually, they can be explained in the sense that there are some of the films that are fictional,
yeah,
but even if it is fictional, there's a theme
yeah,
running it. But there are some of them that are what I think is Professor Wadeshenka actually mentioned, that they are like conscience camera.
yeah,
In which case, these are films that have the theme of socio-political issues
yes,
and government governance and all of this.
yeah,
And so, if you look at that classification, you can see that the films that fall under the conscience camera are Koshegbe,
Koshegbe,
Shaurede, Agogo Ewo, Arugba, Campus Queen.
yes.
Those are the conscious cameras.
Camera. They're very political.
They are political.
Yeah,
They are social and political.
yeah,
And then there are, apart from the fictions, Toluwanile, Ayonimofe, what else? In a way, Shaurede, Agogo Ewo, Arugba, but they have strong themes.
very strong.
They are fictional. And then you have the adaptation from literature.
Yeah,
Koshegbe again, Oleku,
Thunderbolt,
Thunderbolt, Narrow Path.
Narrow Path.
That's me Mirage.
That's never right.
Then Cordelia, which I've not released.
Hmm.
And
Was it Femi Ashofisan's Cordelia?
of course, Mami. Yeah,
Mami.
yeah, and Cordelia,
Yeah.
Femi Jefferson again.
Yeah. Yeah. Mami.
Mami,
Yeah.
Mami, and then Cordelia.
Cordelia. They are different from just the broad Nollywood thing again.
In
There's a
fact, they are
distinctiveness
not
to the
Nollywood at
movie.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, at the time,
Yeah.
Nollywood has just come to sort of one word for the product from Nigeria. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
anything Nollywood now can Ghanaian films sometimes are classified as Nollywood.
Nollywood. Yeah.
Because I didn't like that because apparently coined from Hollywood and they are separate things. Hollywood is space, is there. Nollywood is not anywhere. So it really doesn't describe what we do. But most of the people who worked, who made the later video films are happy as Nollywood. Although today now it has become sort of just like Nigeria. We didn't name Nigeria. Circumstances, historical called us Nigeria.
Let's do.
And
What
what is the definition of Nigeria?
Nigeria.
How can you define the people who turn their back on their own, adopt a foreign European language and say it's culture and say that is a nation? It is, it's not, certainly not possible. So if Nigeria can patch and live with it, then Nollywood too is adapt to just.
And this just broadly defines Nigeria.
Broadly, in fact, today is a matter of clicks. Even if you search Nollywood, 17 million clicks with suddenly if you just Google Nollywood and you click it, you see 17 million response in 2 seconds or something like that. In that case, then it's probably valid. But you can't define your own. Sometimes I used to call my own the other Nollywood. Or you can say the new Nollywood. Or Kunavara can say mine is new Nollywood or something. So
because one of the reasons why I asked that question is I think there's a distinctiveness to your movie. There's always a sense of purpose. There's always, in terms of the themes, it's kind of highly organized. It's not, there's, a sense of intentionality. Which is kind of interesting. You're doing there's a lot of, you're talking about your culture, how it influences, but they're very, very critical too. Like the Shawarida 1 and 2, they reflect society, document a certain, period, and then the challenges posed by then, the politicians, the military,
right. Yes.
And then again, they kind of suggest the future.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting.
Well, it's interesting, because I make films that have a bit of myself in it. You understand? And I benefited from, the medium itself is a collaborative medium.
Yes.
And finding partners, like starts with the literary, find either a source material or a fiction. But in any case, I still research all of these things and then select someone who is going to write the screenplay or collaborate together with the person. And my experience in London Film School, I wasn't trained as a cinematographer like most people say, although I started photography and did cinematography essentially in the television station at WNTWMBS. There was no video at that time at all. So we shot everything on film and processed the film on the premises. But my course in London was the art and technique of making movies. The art and technique of filmmaking.
What does that entail?
The art and technique of filmmaking, everything. For instance, throughout my first year in London Film School, I didn't even show any sign that I'd come in contact with camera at all. So I learned everything all over again. So in that year, I worked mostly in editing and music and all of these things. But in the second year, I started to go into photography and cinematography again. And we start from black and white, 35, and things like that. And we are trained to make movies without sound at all. We don't record sound.
So
It is after we shot the film that we design the
this
sound
sound.
and lay about 9 tracks, footsteps, lighting a cigar, and all that. We just post sync everything and lay the tracks and so on. So it pays attention on the imagery, and all
Hmm.
of that. But I had a consultant called Bill Oxley.
Hmm.
One morning, I sat in front of Big Oxley and said, "Ah, Tunde, there's nothing more we can teach you in this place, and if I were you and you really want to become a good cinematographer, just go to the National Art Gallery and study a painting a day."
Hmm.
So, and I took the advice and said to look, and suddenly my eyes opened. So when I look at anything, instantly I know what to do. It's not cinematography of is not a secret of anything. It is just about light, the quality of that light and the quantity of that light in relation to the medium that you want to use and your final message.
Hmm.
It's simple. It's not simple, but it's there. And I know, study Joan Vermeer, Rembrandt, all these great masters who have used their hands to make one picture with their hand. I think Vermeer, we study Vermeer, Joan Vermeer, and he made this his great work in 1660 something,
Hmm.
before the idea of a camera was
Well,
conceived.
conceived.
So it's deep. So it's easy once you start ideation. That's why here, once I embark on anything, then it's very interesting. The project probably starts from you, then two of you, then three of you, and then by the time you really start the process, you can have a pool of 100 people, all experts at what they do.
Hmm.
Everybody contributes something, but the most important thing is the goal, the product. So basically, I'm used to all that. So I was, in my own case, I was never far from the academics. I
Yeah.
went back to them because I didn't go to university myself. Leeds University 2022 gave me honorary doctorate,
Hmm.
but I, I benefited a lot from my association with everybody. In fact, there was a time I was 70s, I was following the Oshogo artists. Any
Hmm.
group that I know that is relevant to what I'm doing or will do, I just follow them and learn from them.
Do you have a film school? Because I know a
I
lot of
had a film
people.
school. I
Yeah.
tried to start a film school here in Abeokuta, but during COVID, we stopped it. And then it's been difficult
To restart it.
to restart it because now Nigeria is in the limelight. There are film schools and everything now. Some of them are free.
Hmm.
I'm a resource to the Multi-Choice Talent Factory, where every year they train 20, they do West Africa, East Africa, South Africa model, and they take 20 students, they train for 1 year.
Hmm.
They are even paid. They are paid. And then, of course, everything you need is on YouTube. There's nothing you want to learn that is not on YouTube today.
YouTube.
But of course, the physical contacts and mentoring is still important.
A lot of movies. Netflix. I mean, Nigeria is producing so much, and of course, the commercial in terms of I mean, the economic venture and all these things. So do you think this advantageous to the industry,
I
to the
think it's good.
society?
Good in a way because, come to think of it, Nigeria, they have to study. That's why Nigeria Nollywood is being studied because we have the advantage of our population. We have advantage of our cultural diversity.
Mm.
You know, we have a big market, and suddenly, and we now, unlike our own days when we started from, you can even own a means of production. You could make a film with iPhone 14 Pro Max. You know, some of the professional apps that we put in this thing gives us the advantage of the big DSLR cameras, the cinema cameras. You can be done here on where, of course, when you know the limitations, you know how to manage and use it. You can work. I have a documentary, Yoruba Beyond Border, that I shot entirely with mobile phones. So that's the part of the, and then there's capacity building, and then throw all into the mix. Look, this Christmas New Year period only, one Funke Akindele film had made over ₦1 billion. In fact, almost close to 1.5 billion naira. It's never happened before. And so, just to show you that, and come to think of it, the Nigerian industry, our industry still suffers infrastructural deficit. Throughout the whole country, we are only about 300 screens, 300 cinemas. America has maybe 13,000. And there's a lot of catching up to do. So what it says is that we haven't even reached the potential audience. Even if we talk about streaming, no, so our people cannot afford the data to consume it. It's still too expensive. Mobile data is very expensive. Therefore, if you put anything on YouTube, the Nigerians are very smart. They download it first before they consume, they watch it. The total, there's a lot of privacy going on. But even then, there's a lot of people who have access to the system. So if, for instance, this The Tribe of Judah by Funke Akindele makes ₦1 billion, it's been going through soft piracy. Everybody is downloading and sharing it among people, but it doesn't matter because the market is huge. It's made the money already. So the only danger is that with the streamers, with that culture coming from outside into here, the advantage of the technology may be counterproductive in the sense that it may destroy our cultural value.
How?
Suddenly, I'm telling you things that when you abandon your own story, now, because those people are encouraging you and say, look, this is modern time. Do you want to make money? You want to sell, to make your film marketable? These are how many. You have to show some nudity. Then you have to show action. You have to blow up cars. You have to do that, and you have to put some violence in it and so on. Then you have abandoned your own cultural value completely. You no longer, people don't care. Already, it's happening in Yoruba land. Most of these homes you go to, the children don't speak the language anymore. Even parents, even in the palaces, some of the Kabiyesis have gone to their homes and realized that their children are speaking English. They don't speak Yoruba at all. So, in a way, if there was no process of conscious reorientation, I think we are going to lose our cultural values. It's a win. There is a battle. It's a battle front for the soul of the Yoruba or the African now. And it's a lost battle. Especially when the children are making money by doing short form skits, they have access to YouTube, they know how to attract followers. Some of them are going dubiously using algorithm to give them more followers and clicks and all of these things. So where's the place of the culture then? It's gone.
So film can be a positive, it can be a negative for us.
Yeah, of course. Like any means of imperialism. We are probably witnessing a fifth slavery now because we are depending on technology, and you know what is happening in the social media space. Where the space of culture is that? When you already know that most of them are fake anyway. Most of the things you read on and so people are completely engrossed with their mobile phones. And what do they see? It's not great literature, it's not great poetry, it's not anything. So it's not great music,
Good
you know.
music.
So where is the place of the culture? But the interesting part of it is that this is a time to take advantage of the technologies, to use it to propagate our culture and language. This is time. This is time to use it, to use the technology and take it global. And the language of the currency is in our own language and culture. That's the interesting part of it. So sooner or later, it will take time before people realize that this is what we need already. Look at what is happening in the music scene.
Yeah.
Sing any nonsense to any beat. The interesting part of it to me is this. When I was growing up in Agbole,
Yeah.
you have to make a drum.
Yes.
First of all, you use a tin.
Yeah.
And when you go and join the elderly group and say, I want to be drumming with you, bang! Shama shan konkolo, 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 and follow us. Most of all these Afrobeats music, Burna Boy and all of them, go and listen to go and listen to their beats.
Yeah.
Konkolo, 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 konkolo. The rest is show.
Yeah.
The music is made by machine. Then they have to put these golden collars and chains on their neck, paint their teeth, put earrings on their mouth, remove their shirts, and sing nothing. But go and listen to the music.
Yeah.
This is just like
The traditional
beats.
Yeah, but they are empowered economically. Are you looking
That's
at it
what I'm
from that?
saying.
Yeah.
Once you see that, people in primary school are already emulating them.
Yes.
They're turning their back on the originals, the source material, which is infinite, which is
But that's what you tend to.
inexhaustible.
Your movies actually reclaim this original. It's always source in that.
Yes, because although we're in modern times, although in 21st century,
Yeah.
I let people see that it's more than that. So, it came to me when I was very young. It's an awareness that came very. If the Japanese bring their own film, and the Indians bring their film, and the Polish bring their film, then this is my own. It's in my language. Look, in fact, I've been embarrassed in certain quarters. When I made that film at Benin with Laha Productions in 2008 and something, I was just in my office in Lagos, and Cameron Bailey, who is the director of, later became the director of the Toronto International Film Festival in Canada, came to my office and he says, Tunde, we learned that you just made a film. I said, oh, no, it's true, but it's not any film, just a local film. And that's what he said, no. He wants to take a look at it. I said, no, Cameron, I know the stature of your festival now. It's nothing like that. We will get there, but not now. And I refused. And he says, no, you must let me see it.